presentation for the day, which is by Academica International Studies, for which I would like to request Mr. Suren Ramasubbu, Director of Academica International Studies, to join us on stage. Before he comes on, I'd like to give a slight brief about Sir. As a serial entrepreneur and founding director of the ICSE Council, Mr. Suren drives educational innovation through Academica Virtual Education Incorporation, which operates over 200 schools in the US. Under his leadership, Academica International Studies, that is AIS, offers a Dual Diploma program allowing over 50,000 students in 28 countries, including India, to pursue an American high school diploma alongside their local curriculum. This program enables CBSE, ICSE, and state board schools to provide international education without extra infrastructure. Mr. Suren is focused on expanding Academica's reach in India and building partnerships with top schools. He holds a BE from PSG Tech, a Master's from Virginia Tech, and an MBA from UCLA Anderson School of Business. I request Mr. Suren Ramasubbu to please join us on stage, and let's have a huge round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen.
If I look a little bit frazzled, I apologize. I've been on planes for the last 36 hours. I was in a convention in Las Vegas, and I've been traveling ever since, and I just got here. So let me, before I get started with what the Dual Diploma program is, let me introduce myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur, as they introduced, and I got into this through personal experience. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I'm not an educator or a school administrator like all of you. I got into this kind of by accident. My company was acquired by Academica, and as part of that process, I came to know about the Dual Diploma program. Around the same time, I moved to India for family reasons. My children were already in middle school and high school, and after I moved, I struggled to find a school or a program or a curriculum that would give them a foothold in the US as well. You know, they had grown up in the US for a long time, so I wanted them to have all the benefits of the Indian system of education and also have get the benefits of the American system of education. I couldn't find one that fit both. So then I asked Academica, why are you not offering this in India? And they said, okay, dear guest, why don't you evangelize? Why don't you take this program to schools in India? The US consulate got involved and invited us to participate in consular sessions. They call it the education mission here in India. So we met a bunch of schools and we started a pilot program. And the pilots have been so successful that we have started talking about this to a number of other schools. So I'm very happy, very glad to be here to talk about this today. So before we get into the details, let me introduce Academica itself. You've probably not heard of this because Academica is an organization that is based only in the United States. We operate a chain of schools, over 200 schools across 20 different states in the US. There are about over 1 lakh students enrolled in our schools. And these are brick and mortar schools, regular schools, like where students actually go in person and learn in person. These schools are what are called charter schools. If you're familiar with the US education system, in the US there are public schools and private schools and what are called charter schools. Charter schools are publicly funded, the government funds them, but they are run like private schools. The reason the government funds charter schools is to create competition for government schools, and there are reasons for that. There are places where the government or public schools are not run properly or the infrastructure is not good. For instance, I can give you one example. In Miami, there is a place called Little Havana, which is a very rundown, drug-ridden, gangster-ridden neighborhood in the city of Miami. And no public school in that area could operate successfully. Despite several changes in administration, new teachers, and everything, they were not able to operate a school. Now, Academica established a charter school in Little Havana. It's called SLAM Academy, Sports Leadership and Management Academy. And that has been a very successful initiative. Over 3,000 students study in SLAM Academy now, and it has changed the face of that neighborhood. Now, the students in that area, children in that area, have an option to study in a free, a government-funded, almost a private school. And once they are in that cocoon of that school, they get a world-class education. So, Academica's mission is to provide high-quality education, virtual education across the board. Academica has a because the state of Florida requires any student in the state of Florida has to do at least one online course during their high school, during the 4 years of their high school. So Academica has been doing this for a long time, and as a consequence of this, Academica started offering an international program about 15 years ago. So Academica's mission is to provide equitable international education to all students around the world. About 15 years ago, Academica launched this Dual Diploma program in the country of Spain with about 10 or 20 students, and today there are 10,000 students in this program in the country of Spain alone. And if you include France, Italy, and other countries in Europe and Latin America, there are a total of 50,000 students doing this program, and about 1,200 schools around the world. And like I said, we launched in India a few years ago. We partnered with some of the premier schools in India, and there are about 100 to 150 students who are doing this. We have expanded from the pilot stage to, we are going, trying to evangelize it through a huge number of schools in India. Chains of schools are participating in this. There are a few, Bodhara International Group is piloting it, a few Delhi public schools are doing it, so there are quite a few chains of schools that are adopting this program. Now, there are three main objectives of the Dual Diploma program. I'll tell you why the Dual Diploma program is one of the biggest innovations to happen in K-12 education around the world. But I'll tell you the details before I explain why I think that. There are three main objectives of the Dual Diploma program. One is language immersion. The program requires students to study US English for 3 years. And why is US English important? Indian students are already well versed in English. They already have a good foundation in English. Why do they need to learn US English? In the US, English is not taught as just a language. There's a huge emphasis placed on critical thinking. As educators, you know why critical thinking is important. Students evaluate books, literature, shows, movies, and critically analyze them. Right? There's a reason why America has been in the forefront of innovation in the last couple of decades, and that is because students are taught critical thinking from a very young age. They're not taught to learn and reproduce what they learn, but they're taught to analyze things critically and come up with their own explanations, come up with their own critiques and their own disagreements on what they learn. And that is why learning US English is important. The second facet of this is they're learning English from an American teacher, and as part of that, they're going to be interacting with a US-based teacher, a credentialed teacher who's sitting in Miami, Florida. So they pick up the US accent, they also understand the cultural context, and I've seen through the pilot that the teacher also learns about the Indian context. The students learn about the American context and their holidays and their practices and things like that. It's a great way to introduce them to another culture in another country through this immersive program. The second aspect of it is technology immersion. When a student does a virtual program, they have to go through, they have to be comfortable with technology, and we all know during COVID, all schools had to go online and all the struggles that we faced. But Academica has been doing this for 15 years, and it has a well-oiled machinery on how to make this work. And it's working for 50,000 students, so you don't have to take my word for it. You can actually try it out at your own schools to see how it works. The third aspect is personal immersion. The students are handling two curriculums, right? They're doing your school's curriculum, all the work that they are required to do, and extracurricular activities, and this second curriculum, the Dual Diploma. This requires a huge amount of work-life balance, time management, personal organization skills, executive functioning skills. The students learn to manage all of these over the 4 years that they're doing the program, and it gives them a strong foundation when they enter college. Now, I claimed before that the Academica Dual Diploma program is the biggest innovation to happen in K-12 education. The reason is that the student receives two official higher secondary certifications. The student completes their, let's say, CBSE, 12th standard senior secondary certificate, and at the same time earns an American high school diploma, right? They do that because the Academica is able to take some of the credits from their local curriculum and give credit for those the courses that they're doing here in order to earn the dual diploma. the world's largest K-12 accrediting body. The diploma is accepted by all the universities in the US, Canada, Europe, Australia, even in India. The Association of Indian Universities recognizes an American high school diploma under the same criteria that the IB or ICSE is accepted in India. So, as I mentioned, any student in the US who is pursuing high school is required to complete 24 credits or 24 courses between 9th and 12th grade, right? So usually it's a mix of, you can see the requirements are like 4 years of native language, 4 years of mathematics, 4 years of English, and so on and so forth. Now, if a student is required to do their CBSE curriculum and alongside do this 24 credits, it would be nearly impossible. However, the Dual Diploma, that's where the Dual Diploma's innovation comes in. The Dual Diploma takes 18 credits from their local curriculum, from CBSE or state board or whatever curriculum that they're pursuing, even IGCSE or IB. So 18 credits are taken from the school's curriculum, and only 6 remaining courses have to be done with as part of the Dual Diploma program. And out of these 6 courses, 3 are in English, actually 5 levels of English, out of which the students are required to do 3. It could be English 2, 3 or 4, or 3, 4 and 5, depending on what level they begin with. There's also a US history and US government requirement, which is a US Department of Education requirement. People often ask me, why is US history important? I mean, all the seminal events of the recent past have been driven by the United States, for good or for bad. We don't know how it's all going to turn out in the long run, but all of us are affected by the actions that this one country makes in this world, and I feel it is important for us to understand US history. Although it's a very short history compared to Indian history, US history is only like 200 years old, but it's very important to understand where they come from, to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, right? The context of what they're doing affects the rest of the world. So I feel learning US history is actually very important for students anywhere in the world. Now, other than the 2 English courses, 1 US history and 1 US government, they can also choose from the electives that are shown on the right. You can see that the electives are mostly vocational things that they will enjoy doing. In fact, if the student is planning to study in America, college preparation, SAT, ACT, test prep is one of them. The student doesn't have to enroll in a test prep center outside. They can just do this course and take the exam. There are other electives that are available to them too. Starting 2026, the students will be able to do AP or college credit courses as well. So they'll be able to transfer 2 of these courses into their undergraduate program whenever they go to college, if they go to college in the US or Canada or any international university. Now, what is the ideal entry point for a student? The ideal entry point is a student who is entering into the 9th standard or 9th grade. They would start with 1 course in the first year, 2 courses in the second year, 2 courses in the third year, and 1 course in the fourth year. This program can also be done by a student who is entering 10th or entering 11th. They'll have to just increase the number of courses they're doing in each year. Now, this is very doable for Indian students because the Dual Diploma calendar runs from April to November. So April to June is the first semester and August to November is the second semester. We find that our students are able to complete the first semester even during the summer break, and the second semester overlaps with our Indian calendar, but still they're able to manage because the semester ends in November, and after December they can focus on their local curriculum, the board exams, annual exams, or whatever they have between December and March. The program provides all necessary materials online. There are no textbooks or anything the students need to purchase or study. Everything is provided online. All the assessments, tests, everything is done online. The students can do it on their own time during the evenings, weekends, like I said, during the summer break. There are some mandatory live sessions that the student needs to join. Like I said, they'll be interacting with the American teachers, probably once in a week or once in 2 weeks. And these are mandatory sessions that they're required to attend. The teachers are in Florida, and the time overlap is so conducive that they meet anywhere between like 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. India time. And most of the students and teachers are able to find a good time that works mutually. Biggest question that comes up is, what is the workload? How can a student pursue 2 things at the same time? They're already overloaded with work. This is a very doable program for students who are already at the top of their class, I would say. So in our estimate, it takes about 3 to 5 hours a week, which is about an hour a day or less. Sometimes students kind of do the work over the weekend. All the sessions are done online, and the student progress is tracked continuously. The teacher is kept updated, the parents are kept up to date. There's even a program director in the local school who's kept up to date. So any intervention required, they're able to intervene. Progress reports are published regularly, and the students are at the end of their 4th year in the program, they will complete the 24 credits. Now, at the end of the program, the school or the student or the parent is required to provide a mark sheet from the local school, because the 18 courses from your curriculum will be transferred into the American mark sheets. So we'll take these mark sheets and normalize those scores into American grades, as you can see here, the letter grades, and the student would receive an American mark sheet like any other American student would. Now, this helps students who are planning to study abroad, especially because when they apply to US universities, the university has to normalize their CBSE or their state board or ICSE scores into the American system, whereas when they have an American diploma, the university has to accept it as is. Secondly, the student can get a recommendation letter from an American teacher. They're used to writing rec letters. Over the 4 years, the teacher develops a relationship with these students. They know the students well enough to write a deeply felt rec letter for the students. So this is incredibly helpful for students who wish to study abroad in future, whether it's for undergrad or for masters. Most universities will also pay TOEFL or IELTS for a student who has an American diploma, so that's an additional benefit. They don't have to take one standardized test that's required. Now, we talked about all the benefits to students, but this slide talks about the benefits to schools. If you're a school who wants to offer an international program, you can become an international school overnight. No infrastructure, no building, no teachers, no hiring. All you need to do is nominate one teacher from your school to be the program director, and with no additional investment, you can start offering an international program overnight. I know this all sounds like magic, so I would challenge anyone here to take me up on this promise. If you nominate at least one student, then nominate your top student in your 8th standard or who's entering your 9th grade, one student or 2 students, you will give those students a full scholarship. No tuition, no fees for the 4 years. Nominate 2 students, nominate one program director. You see how this program works over the next 4 years, and then you make a decision on whether your school wants to adopt it en masse for all of your students. So this is an open challenge for any school administrator, any principal, any school founder here to take up. There will be no obligation to the school, there will be no obligation to the student, but you can see how the program exactly works. And I'm very confident about this because all the 100+ students who are going through the program now, they absolutely love it, because the program relies on experiential project-based learning. There's very little emphasis on exams, so the Indian students absolutely love it because of the lack of emphasis on exams and the experiential aspect of it. For instance, the exam in history is to make a video, or an exam in English is to have a debate with their classmates. So it's a very engaging, fun kind of program, and at the same time, the student earns a dual diploma. Other than academics, there are also clubs and other activities, and we'll have info session. If you're interested, please get in touch with us. We can explain more about that. In terms of timeline, the application deadline is coming up soon. We accept applications until December. There will be an entrance exam in January, and scholarships and other details will be announced by then. I'll leave you with this picture of a graduation ceremony in France, I think, where thousands of students are graduating, and we had a huge graduation ceremony. We have a huge graduation ceremony every year. Our goal is to expand this program in India and have just a graduation ceremony just like this for our Indian students very soon. Thank you very much for your attention and for your time.
Thank you so much. Request you to please remain on stage, sir. And would now request Mr. Suren Ramasubbu, Director of Academica International Studies.